Good morning, Dhamma brothers and sisters. It's good to see you on this very auspicious day, actually, for the country. And also for us as a Buddhist community here, because we commemorate the life and contribution of our late teacher, Venerable K. Sri Dhammananda. And I have been asked to focus on the qualities of late chief, such as the quality of peace and kindness. So I will try to kind of direct this sharing towards these qualities. The video that we watched just now, very well produced, yeah, and I think as a video, it is able to communicate the character, the personality of our late chief. So this is how we remember him. Yeah, now we call him late chief. When he was alive, we just call him chief. And that was a very short name that everybody knew when we said, okay, I will go and talk to chief. Yeah, we knew it was to talk to Venerable Kesari Dhammananda. Yeah, and that's the meaning of his name. One who experiences happiness through the Dhamma. Dhamma Ananda. Yeah, Dhamma Nanda. So as we commemorate, we remember late chief year after year, we bring forward his memories. We remember him. But as we saw just now from the number of hands who really came into contact with late chief, each year the number of hands will also get less. Because we, the direct disciples will also pass away. And the other day, I went to the wake of one of his longtime disciples, sister, and we also call her auntie, Rupawati. Yeah, and some of you know her because she was a very, very devoted, devout, hardworking follower, of the late chief. And her life was either family or temple. That's it. If she's not at home, you can find her in the temple, because she would be offering dana, she would be doing work, she would be, doing whatever she can for the community, for the temple, by coming almost every day. So, as I said, the disciples will also get less year after year. And late chief will go from becoming just a memory in our minds, he will become myth. He will become legend. And as Brother Tong said, he will become an icon. He's just an icon. But the important thing is to remember what he taught. And this is where we try to spread that word. As we live the teachings that we learned, we try to spread it to others. We try to make others also live the Dhamma from the inside out. That means to say, we actually learn the Dhamma first. We study the Dhamma and then we practice it. Venerable Kesari Dhammananda was a firm believer in the power of practice, Dhamma practice. That's why he initiated so many Dhamma study activities, from very simple Friday night talks I don't know whether you remember, those who put up their hands just now, you remember the Friday night talks where his followers, disciples, students will gather, yeah, to listen to late chief's sharing, all on that Friday night, until he became not so healthy and not so strong, but still he would struggle to move, to walk from his room to the hall, yeah, where he would again, give a Dhamma talk, yeah. And the most remarkable thing I can remember is when he entered the hall, he had to be carried. I mean, somebody had to hold his hand. Then he would sit down. He looked around, and then he would share the Dhamma. And as he talked, as he shared the Dhamma, the teachings of the Buddha, energy began to arise in his body. Yeah, and he became more and more strong. And well, at the time he finished his talk, yeah, you can believe that he was a healthy man. Yeah, until he got up. And then somebody would have to hold his hand to accompany him back, yeah, to his room. So he was inspired by the Dhamma. And what I would like, oh, okay. What, it's not moving. Yeah. What I'd like to share is when we talk about peace and kindness, Venerable Sri Dhammananda, his life exemplified peace and kindness every day. It wasn't just at certain occasions, it was every day. And people like us were very lucky to actually see this in front of our eyes, how kind he was. But I must admit to you, at the age of 12, when I met the late chief, I was a little afraid of him. Because when you see him, he's a very imposing man. He was tall and his features were very serious until somebody made him laugh, until he cracked a joke that was really, really humorous. And then he would laugh wholeheartedly, yeah, until his body became like a bowl of jelly. He was shaking totally with his laughter. He never did anything halfway. When he laughed, he totally laughed. Yeah, because he found it so funny. There were many things in life that he found very, very funny. Yeah, and one of which was the behavior of religious people. Because we do a lot of things in the name of religion. You know, we pray here, we burn these things, we do this, and that was very, very humorous. Yeah, very amusing to the late chief. But lately, when we remember late chief, yeah, and the jokes that he cracked, some people seem to find it very not funny. Not so funny. But when he cracked it at that time, it was really, really, funny that we all laughed at it. One of which was, these pictures, yeah, that I share with you is from the book downstairs. You know, the pictorial memorial book, except for one there. You cannot find one picture in the book downstairs. I can only tell stories, which I hope will make what I say, make it more convincing that he was a wonderful man. Yeah, but he was a man not to be made irritated. Because if you irritate him, he will scold you. He scolded us, right? But he was totally committed to spreading the teachings of the Buddha in any way that he could. When he arrived in this country in 1952, I believe, yeah, 19, he could not speak English well. Yeah, he could not hold a decent conversation with people in English. He spoke Sinhalese, he spoke Hindi very good. That's why there was a picture just now of him attending the Hindu University of Benares. Yeah, and he would tell us a lot of stories of, well, not a lot, no, stories about his days at the Benares University. He was a young monk. And so he went from Sri Lanka to Benares in India, yeah, to study at the university. And he said, at the university, he studied languages and philosophy. And that was it. Yeah, he didn't study sociology, yeah, about how people lived, etc., etc. So he would always say to us, you are the young people who go out. You work every day in society. You understand society. So our job is to teach you the Buddha's teachings so you can take the teachings into society in the way that society understands it. Because he very clearly understood monks are monks. Monks are, stay apart from society. And so I come back to the joke that he created. I hope I can relate it well. He said, many years ago, that the Chinese people are the most innovative because Chinese people can do banking in hell. You know what I mean? Yeah, during the 7 month, the Chye, we burn and then we send money to those people that were related to us in the hell, in the ghost realm, and then they can go and withdraw that money and use. And so I thought it was very, very funny. It was very, very amusing. But lately, some people became very sensitive about this joke and they criticized late chief about it. Yeah, even people that studied under him found it very sensitive. But it was a very, I think, very creative joke. Yeah. That, we do these things every chat eat. We will burn. And in fact, before I met late chief at the age of 12, I followed my grandmother to all the Chinese temples. And so when you talk about religion, my first memory of religion is my eyes hurt. Because my grandmother would take me into those temples filled with smoke. And they were burning joss stick, burning paper, burning all sorts of things. And so I followed her, and my eyes would hurt because of the smoke. So whenever I hear religion, oh, hurting eyes, painful eyes. Yeah, until we met the late chief. And then our lives, especially our religious life changed. Yeah, we studied, yeah, we became good disciples. My father loved to do chanting, and so learned the Pali chanting from the monks. Yeah, and he would chant every day of his life until the Alzheimer's disturbed his thinking. Then he had to stop the chanting. Yeah, but it was through the late chief that we came into contact with the real Buddha's teachings. And you can see the kindness that he had, the compassion for the people that came to listen, that even when he was not well, yeah, he would go and attend, give a talk. Yeah. He would walk as much as he could, unassisted, but then later on, people had to assist him to give a talk. And also attend ceremonies, events, meetings and conferences on behalf of the Buddhist community. So there was one time, yeah, allow me to share these personal memories. He had to attend this presentation at the Putra World Trade Center. So it was a mixed group of people. The Muslims were there, the Christians were there, the Hindus were there, and therefore, as a Buddhist, and I know he wasn't well. Yeah, he also went because as he sat there, yeah, and faced the stage, he called me. Luckily, I was walking around. He called me, and he said to me, "Can you find me a piece of cake to eat?" Because he was suffering from diabetes. And if the sugar level drops for a diabetic person, he can go into shock, faint and go into shock. So that's why, I was standing. He called me, Siang, please find me a piece of cake. So I went out, and at the door of the auditorium, luckily they were selling cakes and tea and all that. So I bought a piece of cake and hurriedly gave it to Lake Chief. Yeah, and he ate it, which means while sitting there with all these people, he was already going dizzy through lack of sugar. So after he ate it, I could see it made a transformation in him. He became more alert, yeah, and he wasn't going round and round and round like that, which can be very worrying for somebody with this condition. But he represented the Buddhist community, Buddhism, the Dhamma, yeah, as much as he could. Never gave up the opportunity, yeah, to share Dhamma. So from the Friday night talks to the Dhamma camps, because young people, knowing that he supported their activities, began to gather around him. And he was very, very casual. He talked to people, yeah, young people, and he could understand what they wanted to do. Because there was one time, famous Buddhist leader began to sing songs, hymns in the temple. Yeah, so the Buddhist at that time, Buddhist hymns became very popular. So young people were attracted by songs and hymns. But it was not going down well with some of the conservative, very reserved Buddhists in the temple committee. They said, no, you cannot sing. You can only do chanting. And moreover, they are singing English songs. Cannot. So they complained. And late chief said, please leave them alone. They are doing what they enjoy. In order to attract them, they must come here and do the things that is meaningful for them. Don't expect them to come here and start chanting, this sutta, that sutta, because it doesn't have much meaning to them. He allowed us to sing all these English songs. Yeah, and it became very, very popular. Yeah, and many people gathered to sing songs, Buddhist hymns, every Sunday. So that was how kind he was. Yeah, and that was how he stood up for the youth, yeah, that was gathering everywhere in different temples. And if we could be near him on the Sunday, it was very good. But there were others also who started to have Buddhist discussions, yeah, sing hymns, get together, discuss the Dhamma in other places. And he would travel, to places like Kuantan, to East Malaysia to support their activities. There were times he would shock us early morning, and that was because there's a picture at the bottom. Late chief is cutting somebody's hair. Me, my hair. That was me. I had a lot more hair in those days. Yeah, and that was because he was the one who encouraged me to become a samanera. Yeah, but I did not take the precepts. He merely chief coordinated the shaving. So he was very happy to see me without hair. He said, "Oh yeah, now you don't have to worry about dandruff." He said to me. But another monk, also very very special to me, was my preceptor. Yeah, he gave me the Samanera precepts. But chief certainly was the instrumental person to get rid of to get rid of the hair. So in a whole range of activities, we can see that Chi was behind it all. And to a large extent, a lot of what happens here at Nalanda followed the model of the chief's guidance, to a very, very large extent. So we are, even if we didn't meet late chief, yeah, we are living in his legacy. But as I said, as time goes by, he will become a name that people will say something about, but he will become abstract. He will become a memory. He will become just an icon. Yeah. And that cannot be helped because the nature of existence is anicca. And that was what he taught us. Because he sometimes, when I was a novice, he will come to breakfast and he will say to us, we were eating, last night I had a heart attack. We all stopped eating. What? Yeah, I had a heart attack, he said. But I didn't want to disturb anybody, he said. Yeah, because he had a direct link to upstairs. If he pressed a button, the bell would ring upstairs and the young monks, some of the monks would come. He said, no, I didn't want to disturb them because they were already so busy organizing the novitiate program. He said, I took the pill, which he had, and then he will lie down there. And then he said, as he was lying down there, he went to sleep, and then early morning he would get up. So that was another episode in his heart problems. Yeah, that was to stretch with him for a very, very long time. So these pictures show the events that the late chief found very meaningful to him. And you can see him here with children. He especially loved children. Of course, when children first see him, yeah, they would be a little bit careful. But then he would start laughing and joking with them, yeah, and the children would feel very comfortable, yeah, in his presence. And he was most happy. You can see there he's facing a crowd, and that was the Friday night talks that people would come for. And that is where we would listen to him impart the Dhamma directly, to anyone who would gather. There is a picture of a shoe on this slide. And I would like to tell you this story because he told us. And when he told us this story, it was an example, a reflection of his humanity. Because we expect Buddhist monks, always, to be very, very serious, right? But this story that I'm about to tell you demonstrates, reflects his humanity and his kindness. One time he went to the old airport, Subang Airport. There are stairs. At that time, it's not aircon, not air conditioned, and there are stairs. So he, I think, was sending somebody off. So he walked, on the ground floor. And then this shoe came tumbling down the stairs. So he looked at the shoe and he looked up. There was a Malay lady, this woman. She had walked, and as she walked, I think the shoe, not very tight, fell off her foot and came down the stairs. And she was going to come down to retrieve her shoe. But Chief Reverend said, wait, no need, no need. I will bring you the shoe. So he picked up the shoe and he walked up the stairs and handed it to this lady. And the lady, yeah, being Malay, being Muslim, she was quite taken aback. And he said, you know, I never expected that a Buddhist monk will get my shoe and give it back to me. Yeah, and late chief said, Madam, I didn't do this as a Buddhist monk. Yeah, what he said was, Madam, I did this as a human being. So remember what he expected of us, to be kind to others, to help others, to show our human side, instead of not understanding each other, yeah, not cooperating with each other, yeah, not talking to each other. So I thought this was a really good example, because if you haven't met him, you can only know him through, of course, the books that he wrote, but they were all very, very official, very formal books. It is when you listen to stories like these, then you will understand his heart, was always, on the lookout to do something to help people, human beings that he understood, because of his study. We human beings are all suffering. So if you can allow a woman not to walk down the stairs to pick up a shoe by taking it and handing it to her, yeah, you allow her not to suffer so much. And that was what the late chief, right, was all about. And his book here, I showed you, What Buddhists Believe, became an international bestseller, and was translated, into so many languages that I can't keep track. Translated, of course, into Chinese. Some African communities translated late chief's book. Of course, translated into French, into Spanish, whatever languages a lot of people speak around the world. But it was translated into many, many languages, allowing people around the world to have access to the Buddha's teachings. And this book, and late chief always mentioned it, the name of the book is, even now, What Buddhists Believe. But he always made a disclaimer about the book by saying, Buddhists don't believe anything. Because Buddhists should see and understand. When you talk about believing something, it is that you don't know. When you cannot see something, you take it upon good faith. You trust people that this thing is true. The Dhamma is not like that. The Dhamma, as we chanted just now, is for us to see, experience firsthand, directly. So late chief would always explain to his audience, Buddhists should never believe anything. You have to understand it. You have to develop your wisdom to see it for yourself. So that's why we have to study and we have to practice. Because if you don't practice, it's impossible to actually see it, to actually feel the reality of what the Buddha taught. I use this word not just Dhamma, not just truth. It is reality that the Buddha was concerned about. That means what is real, not things that people imagine, not things that people believe. Right? So he didn't like this word at all, but he had to use it in the book because then people would come and be attracted by the message of the book. And in his practice of peace, he reached out to many, many communities. He reached out to many, many Buddhist leaders. The book downstairs, if you go through it, you will see late chief engaging, interacting with all kinds of religious people, leaders of religious people, of religious organizations. And he was very happy, yeah, to go and discuss and talk to them. But at the same time, yeah, he also told us that many of them were very afraid of him because he spoke the truth. He didn't hold back. Yeah, if others were to say bad things about Buddhism, he would go to the interreligious meeting and tell them why you say such things. We are meeting here in good faith, interreligious. The Christians, the Muslims, the Hindus, the Sikhs, we are meeting here in good faith. And yet, when you go back, you tell your congregation these things about Buddhism. He told them off directly. So that's why they were sometimes a little bit worried whenever they attended meetings and they knew that this word of what they had done had got back to late chief. Yeah, it was not that he was angry, but he wanted to tell them this is not the way to treat other religions. You have to treat other religions with the same respect that you treat your religion. And he will tell them, no, don't do it like this. Because the word would always come back that some religions or religious people, in their enthusiasm, want to spread their religion, will say Buddhists are like this, like that, like that, like that, like that. And that didn't go down well with late chief. He will pick them up, tick them off. Said, stop telling your people to say this. Yeah, because he also explained that they could not find any fault with the Buddha's teachings. When you read the Buddha's teachings, when you study the Buddha's teachings, you cannot find anything wrong with it. How you can fault Buddhists is the way that Buddhists practice their religion. By doing all kinds of strange burning things beside the road and whatever it is, yeah, those things they pick up on. And then they will go and spread it. Oh, Buddhists do this, do this. Yeah, Buddhists pray to stone. Right? Buddhists pray to wood. That really, invited a lot of criticism from late chief. Because he would go and confront them. Why do you say these things? So if they would attend an interreligious meeting with late chief, they knew that he would pick up on it. They would prepare for that meeting. Yeah, try to give some reasons or excuses for the things that they did. But generally, everyone who worked with late chief, for the purpose of promoting peace, had great respect for him. And so in this picture, on the bottom left, there is this wonderful leader of the Hindu community, Mother, at that time, Sister Mangalam. Yeah, and she has passed away recently. Yeah, she was also a wonderful lady who promoted peace among all the religions here in Malaysia. Yeah. And she had a great respect for late chief. Yeah, because she always said he would tell the truth. Yeah, he would not hide anything. He would say it the way that he saw it. Yeah, no sugar coating. And therefore, as I said, as time goes by, these great leaders who have done so much for the interreligious movement in Malaysia, one by one, they also pass away, and they will also just become myth, yeah, and legend. And you can see here the bottom picture, that late chief mixed with the leaders of the country. And this leader, our first prime minister, Tunku Abdul Rahman, turned up at the Vihara to offer robes to his friend, Tan Sri Yu, at that time very famous. Now people don't quite remember him. He became a novice monk. And Tunku Abdul Rahman offered the robes to his friend to become a novice monk. So the late Prime Minister was no stranger to Brickfields Vihara. He would come, every now and then. Whenever there was there were events being held, he would come. And he would sit in the office, and he would discuss things, with late chief. And the picture on top, you see the Dalai Lama, came and visited the late chief, and they would also have their discussion. The list of people or monks or leaders within the Buddhist community around the world, who regarded the late chief with respect, and with affection. There are so many of them. So many. So you can see that peace, getting along with others, was very, very important, to late chief. And he also attended, you can see in the far right, the picture that he attended, especially with fellow Buddhists, the Mahayana community. He would take pains, to foster very, very good relationships with them. I must tell you, in that picture, shows my two masters. In that, with the balloons, one is my Theravada teacher and the other my Mahayana teacher. I have two masters. Actually, I have three. So because of his encouragement, we were also very supportive of the Mahayana Sangha, and tried to support them in any way that we could. So, to go further, this is an important article written by a Malay reporter who declared, he wrote that he was very sad when late chief passed away. So in this article, I don't know whether it might be too small, not so clear. This Malay reporter from the New Straits Times, actually from the Malay Mail, he was sent to cover a Christmas event. But it was a fasting period, fasting time. And the event that he covered, this Christmas party in a Buddhist temple, and the balloons were sponsored by a Muslim man. You cannot find such things any other place in the world. So we are really blessed as a multiracial, multi-religious country when you really think about it. So he said, if you can read, and it is still, you can find it online. He said at around 6 something, he was thinking, how do I buka puasa? And late chief saw him and knew that he was thinking, how can I break my fast? And he went and he said, I can go to KFC because there was a KFC, but you have to walk to the KFC or to one of the mama stalls. Yeah, you still have to walk. Late chief came to him and said, young man, don't worry. I prepare for you buka puasa. Right. So ask him to come sit. Yeah, and the monks were having their tea, but they did not touch the tea, yeah, until Chief took out his little transistor radio and switched on to the prayers. So he was so touched. Of course, he can refer to his watch, yeah, but late Chief took out his little radio and switched it on to the channel to wait for the call to break fast. And so he said, when that call came through the radio, then the monk started to waited for him to have his drink first, and then the monks would have their tea. So he was so touched by that. He said, oh, this is such a kind person. Yeah, he's very, very thoughtful. He's very aware, yeah, of the needs of other communities. And so he wrote there in the last line, yeah, in the last line, he said, with much sadness, yeah, I bid farewell to him, to late chief. So you can consider that he had Muslim friends, Muslim people who were touched by him, by his kindness and his thoughtfulness. But I also like to share this slide, that shows the friendship that late chief had went beyond human beings. And here is conversing, I don't know whether they were really communicating with each other, with this orangutan when he visited, I think Sarawak, many years ago, Sabah. Could be Sabah or Sabah, yeah. And he visited this preserve, where the orangutans were being held. And this orangutan obviously found Chief very interesting. So came to sit with him, and to see whether he could learn a little bit of Dhamma or not, But unfortunately, animals cannot really understand, But the picture with the man in the suit is very meaningful because Dr. Victor Chang was one of the top cardiologists, heart surgeons in the world. And he operated on late chief to do bypass. Because, as I said, he had been suffering from heart problems for a very, very long time. And so he had to go for a bypass. And Dr. Victor Chang was a Malaysian who migrated to Australia. And so Chief went there through a recommendation to have the bypass done, by one of the top heart surgeons in the world. But it didn't, and it was good. And I can remember attending the service that was held to wish late Chief, all the best for his heart operation, surgery. And it was a little bit touching because at that service, when we did the chanting puja, late Chief thanked us. He said, all of you who have supported me, I thank you in case the surgery didn't turn out well. So it was very touching in the way that he showed his gratitude. And it was a very kind thing to do for him, to say that before he traveled to Australia. Unfortunately, Dr. Victor Chang was murdered a few years after this picture was taken. Because somebody appeared at his house and shot him, which was a great tragedy, because then the skill of this wonderful doctor no longer was available to the world. Yeah. So it's a very strange thing, that sometimes even when you are so brilliant, so talented, and so dedicated to helping others, due to your karma, you can also have a very, very unexpected death. Yeah. So we have to take every opportunity that we have to learn and practice the Dhamma, because we never ever know when things can happen to us. So late chief, being a heart patient, was very sympathetic to other heart patients. And I can remember we drove him to one of the members' house. Yeah, this member also had a heart attack and was recovering from it. And he was speaking very, very kindly to this person. Yeah, and I was eavesdropping. And he was saying, don't worry, this thing that happened is just a passing show. It will come, and it will go off, and you will recover, and you will be able to lead a good life again. Because this man was very worried about his heart after having the heart attack. So Chief tried his best to allay him. There's another story that I would like to tell you in connection with the heart, the bypass. Yeah, because late chief had to fly to Australia, I believe in Sydney, where he had this operation. Later on, he told this story. He said that while he was lying on the hospital bed, he was not wearing monk's robes. He was wearing the hospital robes. So there was this lady who came in, and she was from a Christian group. And he saw this man there, and he said, can I recite some prayers for you? And she said, hey, why not? He's waiting for operation. Let's cover every base, Christian prayer also can. So he allowed the woman to do her, blessing, chanting, prayers, all that. Then after that, she finished, and then she stood to the side, because some of the students, Malaysian students, in studying in the university in Sydney, heard that Chief was in town waiting for operation. They came to visit him in the hospital. And in Buddhist fashion, they bowed down to him in the room. And this woman was watching, her eyes open, and she stayed there. And after the students paid respect and all that, they left. She went to Chief and said, and she asked one of the students, who is this man? And the student said, oh, you don't know. He is the chief monk, Buddhist monk in Malaysia and Singapore. Yeah. And then later on, she came and apologized. She said, I'm so sorry. Yeah, to do my prayers for you. Right? I didn't know who you were. And late chief said, it's fine, it's good. Yeah, I'm so happy to get the chanting of prayers from from you as well, so that the operation can test. So you can see, sometimes not easy to see from the books and from the talks, the person that he was. Yeah, they're very open-minded, able to relate to others, able to make others feel comfortable, in doing what they thought was right. He allowed that. He had no problem with it. Yeah, because this lady was very worried, Yeah, Chief might go and complain to the hospital, and then she cannot come anymore, and all that. She was very worried. Chief said, "It is fine." In fact, he thanked her. "Thank you very much." Yeah, for doing all these prayers. I think operation will be a success. And this lady was, she had never encountered such a person, yeah, in her life, right? And Chief enjoyed interacting with doctors because when he went for a test, yeah, a few years before he passed, he went for a checkup and did tests for his prostate because the doctor suspected he might have cancer. Yeah, so they did the test. So he came back a few days later, and the doctor said, a Malay doctor said, Reverend Venerable Dhammananda, we have established you have cancer. And then Chief started to laugh. And this doctor could not understand. Yeah, has this man gone a little bit crazy? And Chief said, that's fine, it's okay. Because it is the nature of life. Cancer, dying, disease is a reality of life. And the doctor said, when I tell people they have cancer, a lot of them start crying. You are the first person to start laughing. He could not believe the reaction, yeah, of late Chief. So this is another example, because being a Buddhist monk, and if you we don't have time, you know, but there are many, many stories of how fearless he was, not afraid of death, how fearless, in addition to being kind and man of peace, he was fearless. He was not afraid, because I have seen him personally. This crazy man came to the vihara and started shouting at people. The monks, yeah, younger monks, all ran away. And late chief came out of his office and said, "What is happening here?" And he faced up to this crazy man. "What are you doing here? What do you want?" And then this man, he's used to people being afraid. Here is one man standing there, not afraid of him. He also don't know how to react. Because people, when you start shouting, you know, yeah, people run away. But this monk is still standing there. Eventually, he became quiet, and then he left. And I was very afraid too, because he comes for me, I will run. He was so disturbing. Yeah. But Lei Chi just confronted him face to face, didn't back down, you know, asked him, "What are you doing? Yeah, if you're not doing anything good, you better go." And he went off. Yeah, after that. So this is another example. Yeah, and I've included a few pictures of late chief's funeral, where I believe during the rain, it rained, you know, during the cremation. Those of us who were there remember that. But I thought it was a fitting send off, yeah, for our beloved late chief. So let me know, if I can, what is most important. Oh, yeah, it's not going. Okay. What is most important is the teaching. So I would like to share with you, yeah, in closing, the teachings. The first one is, late chief believed that human beings were special. Don't give away your status to any other living beings, because human beings are intelligent. And this word manusia comes from two Pali words, mana, which is the working mind, and usya, meaning can develop. And he kept on always reminding us, you are a human being. Don't be afraid of any others. Meaning, don't be afraid of unseen beings, such as ghosts. No time. I will tell you, if you want, I can tell you about late chief as a ghostbuster. Yeah. Real story. I'm not kidding you. Real story. And so he says, human beings are the only living beings who can cultivate the mind to the maximum level, because it is only human beings that can attain Buddhahood. Other living beings cannot. So the person, the being who is about to get in full enlightenment, must come and do it from the human world. Isn't that wonderful? Don't belittle, don't look down on your status as a human being. Because as a human being, the mind can be wonderfully developed. So he said, late chief said, with his superior intelligence, man has only to direct and channel his desires, and he can make his life to be what he chooses. So we control the nature, the direction of our life. Yeah. So he didn't want us to give up the authority to any other being. Oh, all right. Then he talked about noble service, which is what his life was all about. Even when he was not well, he wanted to serve others. He said, if we act wisely by observing universally accepted moral and ethical principles, such as patience, tolerance, sympathy, humility, and kindness, as well as render some service to others and train the mind to be unbiased, then we should be able to achieve something noble and beneficial to all, right? And so he believed in service to others. Help others. You have energy, yeah, you have muscle, you have thought. Don't just leave it for your own enjoyment. It is not enough, late chief said. You have to come forward and help your fellow human beings and the living beings as well, which the orangutan, appreciated very much. He could smell that late chief was a very good person and came to interact with him. So that was, the belief which of late chief. Because when we talk about peace, this is the line which I learned from him. He would quote the Constitution of UNESCO. And the first line is, since wars begin in the minds of men, it is in the minds of men that the defenses of peace must be constructed. So he was all for training the mind. Because if you don't train your mind, develop your mind, there can never be real peace. So, this is quoted in UNESCO, who late chief said, the man who is not at peace with himself cannot be at peace with the world. So meaningful. And external wars have to continue because those people are not at peace. They are full of hate, they are full of anger, they are full of aversion. So they can disturb this. So Chief Reverend said, find a, train yourself to be at peace. The most important prayer of humankind today is for peace. But there can be no peace in this war-torn world until the conflicts of men within himself are ended. So he really believed in that. Have peace in your heart. Then it will spread to the rest of the world. And he always said this, be careful of your mind, because in his words, the thought becomes the word. the word will become the deed or the action. The deed becomes a habit. If you keep doing it again and again, the same action, it will become a habit. In fact, psychologists say you do the same thing for 18 days, it will go inside and become a habit. So anything that you want to become a habit, do it for 18 or more days. Then after a while, you cannot do without it. It becomes a habitual act. The habit hardens into character. So watch the thought and the way, how you are thinking. Be careful of what you are thinking with care and let it spring from love. Fill it with love. Your thinking, fill it with love, born out of concern of all beings. It's such meaningful line. Yeah, to tell you that late chief had this concern, yeah, with other living beings. And so, one more, right? And this is two more. To understand this is very important. To understand yourself is the beginning of wisdom. Today's world prize knowledge outside of us. We are living life from the outside in. We allow all these developments to tell us how to behave, how to live our life. But late chief said, live life from the inside out. You allow your principles, your beliefs, your truth to tell you how to live. And that, in his mind, is wisdom. When you understand yourself, it is the development of wisdom. And this is from the book, What Buddhists Believe. To conclude this sharing, this is so good, I have to share it. Because late chief really believe Buddhists are not idol worshippers. Although we make Buddha images, although we respect to Buddha images made out of wood, of marble, of precious stone, emerald. You know, in Bangkok, there's an emerald Buddha, which is not really emerald. It looks like emerald. It's not emerald. So when I went to Bangkok with my wife, I wanted to pay respect to the emerald Buddha. But the people controlling that place said, you cannot go in because too precious. So I realized they are not protecting Buddha, they are protecting emerald. Because if you understand the Buddha, any material is okay. Any material is fine. So if we know how to conduct ourselves with kindness, we value peace, we are actually ideal worshippers. We worship what is ideal, what is right, yeah, what is meaningful in our life. So with that, I'd like to end this sharing. Thank you for the opportunity, yeah, to sisters here who planned this morning, the opportunity to share some of my memories. Yeah, I hope it did not bore you, right? Because the only thing I really can share, because everything is available in the book, online, you know, in the CD, everything is available. But the only thing that I really like to share are what I have learned, yeah, from late chief himself. Thank you.